bienvenidos a Deuces Wild motherfuckers.
How about that for an intro?
Dude, ladies and gentlemen, this guy should need no introduction. And I told you, we have a lot of Giants fans here that join us in the live chat. If you want to open up the chat, ladies and gentlemen, dude, Jason Grilli, longtime major leaguer. I mean, I don't know how many fucking years you got in, dude, but I felt like you were pitching only a few years ago.
People keep telling me, but I said I got to turn in all my fucking prosthetics. I just had knee surgery 4 months ago on my other knee, and I'm like, what is happening, man? I guess when you squeeze the juice out of the lemon, some of us we left the lemonade on the field, bro. I wish I could be like you, running marathons and all this. I'm like, you got some good DNA or something, man, because you just still keep going. So I don't you telling me you're the one who runs circles around me right now, dude.
Dude, motion is lotion. That's what I tell everybody. So, dude, Jason, you got a fantastic story because you grew up in Syracuse, New York. Introduce yourself a little bit to the Deuces Wild audience. This is you grew up. Your father was a ball player.
Yeah, my dad was a big leaguer, and I just happened to have he was my dad, and I should say that. That's how I said I had a big leaguer for a father, but he was just I didn't look at him any other way than just my dad. My kids didn't either. I'm sure the same with you, right? They don't see us as this major league ball player. But funny stories. As I showed you, I'm into baseball cards because that's how I'm chasing my childhood with my 12-year-old who's wicked into them right now. And I know your other guest and co-host that you have on a lot of time. I dug out these just to happen to have them. We're talking Giants, we're talking baseball, and I remember how much I valued these. And I'm picking out the ones that actually look pretty good. That you'd say you could sell those for millions of dollars. What they told us they were going to be worth millions of dollars. I don't know how much your card's worth, but I found some of mine for about 20 cents.
Was there a better pack than the 1987 Topps with the
wood grains
background?
No. Well, what I wish I had a lot of cards. You probably had a lot of cards from all the years you played. Now when you play, you get like 30 cards, 40, 50, maybe 100 cards made of you right out of the chute. I know the biggest one going was here locally, and even was the Paul Skeens 1 of 1 that Dick's Sporting Goods wound up paying for right here. I just saw it the other day. It's insane what the shrine they have around this baseball card that they paid $1 million for.
Dick's bought it?
Dick's bought it, dude. They have a shrine. I wish you could find the thing, show the viewers if they haven't seen it. But this Dick's Sporting Goods, it's called the House of Sports. It's like its own mall within itself. They're popping up everywhere. And they have their own card section, but they bought the Paul Skeens thing, and it's just like you have his jerseys and T-shirts and Pirates gear right in his own little section of the store with the card like as like a that aura that's like you can just see that. It's amazing, but it's cool, man. I mean, people want to get close to the game. That's why they go to spring training. That's why people collect cards and feel like they can be a part of it, interact with players, get a signature, man. It's a phenomenon that's resurfaced again, and they did a good job of doing that. Whoever made all these billions of cards that are now like getting a Willy Wonka gold card in a chocolate bar. Speaking of which, right?
So growing up with your dad being a big leaguer, are there any memories that you have just that you look back upon and that sticks with you?
I was actually born in Detroit, too young when he was in the big leagues. And my dad played 11 years professionally, and he got about 2.5 in the big leagues. He was a non-drafted free agent sign. He signed for a Snickers bar and a chance to play. He went to Gannon University, which was at the time, it's Division II, I think now, up in Erie. But it was an NAIA school, and he just signed for a plane ticket and a chance to make it, and he did. And grinded through. But I got pictures of me and Mark the Fidrich Bird in my diapers sitting on the clubhouse floor, right? Poor guy, rest his soul. What a character. He would.
Yeah. What are the most undercover? I mean, such a short-lived career.
Yeah.
And obviously gone way too soon. But I'd put him right up there with some of the guys that you just were mesmerizing. And this was after our day, right? It was like we were in diapers when he was doing his thing.
Yeah, in the 70s, he was the most charismatic guy at the time. I mean, people say, because he was so emotional. Baseball has traditionally been like, don't show emotion, don't show up the other team, no bat flipping, no fist pumping. But he was a guy that was out there just so animated, and people were like, yo, here's this dude. It's, kind of was like a surfer, just like fun loving guy, talking to the ball, talking to the dirt, just doing some uncharacteristic, uncanny things that everybody loved. And they came to see him. He would pack the house, man.
So how old are your kids now?
I have a 17-year-old son and a 12-year-old son.
Okay, this is interesting because I had something that showed up. I think you're the perfect guy to go over this with. And I was going to go over this with Will tonight, and I could pretty much tell you what his response would have been.
Okay.
And it would have been very colorful with plenty of F bombs. And I will bring this up to him, but I was someone sent me like a LinkedIn post of all things from a guy by the name of Zach Lutz. Now, he played in the big leagues. He was a son of a coach. He was a D3 All American, sort of this grinder guy. And this is what he wrote. And so here you are. I have a 13-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And I'm coaching travel ball and just got back from Beast of the East with top 10 teams in the country. And from every age group, it was like 9 to 14. And, these kids are fucking good, man. It's way better than we ever were. Is that what you're sensing too with what you're watching?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I grew up in Syracuse, New York, not a hotbed for baseball, right? And I had a basement, and I nailed up a freaking old sleeping bag to a beam downstairs and hitting into that. And now you got the bubbles with AstroTurf and 28 cages and instructions and biomechanics machines. I mean, yeah, the game definitely developed into being better than when we got to borrow it. And why wouldn't it, right? It's better left, but I think there's a lot of information, and I think you have to just take what's complicated and simplify it down. I think there's a result of why we're seeing different things and obviously different ways to develop in the game. The brand of baseball is way different than when we played, like it or not. It is. We can go into that whole spiel, but yeah, the kids today, man, have so much more access to a lot more things.
And they do, and I think they're better earlier. Where I think about myself and coming through the ranks, and I about 16 is when I started to put it together just from a physical element. And then I think college is when I sort of figured it out from more of a mechanical type thing, dialing it in. And then that just continued to grow where I had my best season at 31 years old. So, I don't know if this is a case, but there might be a lot of kids, say, peaking at 16 now,
Yep.
as opposed to getting the opportunity to play a lot longer and continue to develop. One of the things that I would caution, we got a kid going to IMG next year,
Yep.
and I applaud it, man. I think it's awesome, but I don't know enough about IMG to say great things or bad things or anything else. I know it's a fully dedicated school towards trying to develop your son to become a professional baseball player, basketball, football, right? They have all the sports now. They used to do this shit with tennis. The one thing I would be wary of is burnout, because I don't give a fuck who you are, Grilli. Like, at some point, you're done. And it gets to be a grind, and it's no longer fun anymore.
Yep.
For me, that happened in my mid-30s, and I think it was perfect. Well, for some of these other kids, we just don't know yet. I think they're playing so much gosh damn baseball at this point that we'll see. I think this is like the first generation of almost like these test babies that are going to tell us, is this too much? Or is this
Much.
sustainable?
I think it's too much, because if you're asking kids, you're asking grown men to play a doubleheader, and granted, we play 162. Sometimes that's taxing to play two in one day, right? Um, unless you're in a really good groove at the beginning of the season, you don't want to play a doubleheader. You kind of try to avoid that because we only have 19 days off days in a season. These kids are playing sometimes 4 or 5 games in a weekend, and it's insane. I think that's the difference. Like, what happened to a Wednesday or Thursday night game during the week? Like, what's the problem with having that? Spacing it out. That's how I grew up.
Yeah,
Several
me too.
teams, but I didn't play all my games on the weekend. I played some games on a Tuesday or Thursday, maybe 2 games on Saturday, Sunday, but we practiced the rest of the days. And sometimes the practice was, it kept you in the grind, and that was even better because you played late night and mosquitoes are biting you. The sun's going down and you got not a pearl. You can't even see. Like, coach, I think it's time to go. I can't see. I'm gonna get killed out here. You know, but it's definitely different. I don't like comparing. I know it's a comparison game because we say what's happening, and you see all these crazy people, gurus and versus whatever is kind of trying to sit there and who's instructing what. We all absorb information differently, but I think to your point, man, why are people getting burned out on baseball? Because they're playing too much of it in a shorter period of time. I mean, travel ball. Why do you guys spend $250 in that bat for your 11-year-old? Why are we doing this? When you can go right here, play locally within an hour. I live in Western Pennsylvania. We got Ohio, West Virginia. I'm in a 5-hour radius of a third of the country's population. And we got to go where to get in that bat and stay where? Like, why are we doing this? Is it for the kid or is it for the parent? Like, what is it? And I think that's why, if you want to make a really good TV show, bro, I always said I go baseball dads and baseball moms. They had a Netflix show on that because mom and dad are spending a lot. The kid's in the batter's box, dad's on top. He just invested 15 grand into just getting this kid ready to go. And then he expects like he should be a Division One player. Why? I just spent 10 grand to join this team, and he's got a bat bag that will just, the bat bag swings itself because I got $400 or $500 bats in there, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, here's the thing, dude. I I totally get it. I do think that there are a lot of parents trying to live vicariously through their kids. And the one thing I've always said this about former players is that we don't give a fuck.
Yep.
We've already lived that dream. I tell my own kid this. I said, bro, I love you.
Dude.
I'm here to support the journey. But understand this. And I coach his team, dude. Yep. Right? A national travel ball team, all of it. Like, you want to talk about a lot of the shit you were just talking about? Yeah, this is not cheap. Yep. The answer to why, say, parents do this and why we do this is to face the best competition. It's to give these boys an opportunity to play against the best of the best in their age group. But like I said before, dude, we already lived that dream, man. Right. We've already been there. We've done it. I want my kid to be successful, but look, this is up to you. This isn't up to me. Yeah. And I'm not going to be the one just grind. I'm going to tell you, here are the things that you should be doing if you want to get to where you want to go. But I can't even tell you where you want to go. Right. That's 1,000% up to you. But ultimately, it's going to come down to the work that you want to put in, and you got to be obsessed. If you want to be fucking great, you got to be obsessed. And you'll never get to the big leagues if you're not great. So you'll never get to the big leagues if you're not obsessed. Yep. Talk about your journey, dude. First round, 24th round pick out of high school, out of New York, and ended up going to Seton Hall. Take me from there.
So Yankees drafted like a draft and follow kind of thing. I was a 17-year-old as a senior, late birthday. They drafted me after unexpectedly because I said to a lot of other teams, the Braves, Rockies were kind of interested, and I, trying to work out a deal, get a sense of where I wanted to go. I just said, man, if they're looking at me now, I'm not ready for long bus rides, travel all over. My dad owned a sports bar. I was having a couple pops in high school every now and again, like everybody does, and milks in those milkshakes to learn and have some good times. But you know, it was more important, like you said, obsessed. I was obsessed with baseball. I wanted to be these guys that are on these baseball cards. I had Sports Illustrated. I would cut them out after I read them, post them on the wall, made a collage of like, I wanted to absorb the clubhouse that I remember very faintly when my dad played and go by osmosis. I wanted to be that. And I told my dad, like I told you, who was a non drafted free agent, sign, who got no money, literally just a plane ticket and a chance. And I told my dad one day we were playing catch. I go, Dad, you know what I'm going to be after all this? I said, I'm going to be a Division I player and a first round pick. And my dad looked at me and he goes, all right. He didn't like discourage me. He goes, do you know what the fuck you got to do? I was like, yeah, yeah, I do. I got to work hard. But I go, it's right here. It's right here. Now I got to put it right here between my legs and fucking go get it. And so I was skinny. I was skinny. I was intimidated. I used to out eat my father. I used to eat like not seconds, but I had thirds because I was like, I got to gain weight. I couldn't gain weight. I'd even eat my mom's second or thirds, and then 2 hours later or whatever, I ran to Taco Bell trying to slam food. And I said, I can live on Taco Bell with 70 cent tacos, you know, just trying to gain weight. And I had nothing but abs, dude. It was just I was, you know, broomsticks for arms and legs, but I could sling it, I guess. And you know, I filled out a little bit in college. I didn't choose Seton Hall. Seton Hall chose me. I had all these recruiting letters from out west, down south. But I tell people, I go, I want to go where I'm going to play, right? If I had this opportunity and people were noticing me in college, and I want to go. So Seton Hall came to me, and Matt Morris was there. He was a first rounder with the Cardinals. Took me under his wing on my recruiting visit and everything. Said you need to come here. And I looked. I was like, Mo Vaughn went there. Craig Biggio went there. There was a laundry list of good players that went there. And to my point of like, why do you have to travel so far to go? Part of the reason I stuck close to home to get my reps at Seton Hall was I wanted my parents to be able to see me play, right? It was a 4 hour drive from Syracuse as opposed to jumping on planes and trying to go to South Bend, Indiana or, you know, UNC or whatever. My parents just weren't going to be able to see many games. So having a father who was my best friend, who's my best coach, my mom was too, actually. She was very observant on things, mechanics I was doing. She goes, why are you doing that? I go, why would you pick up? So before video was even a thing, she would correct me. But I went to Seton Hall. They told me I was going to be the number 2 pitcher behind Matt, and I go, Matt, I'm going to watch what you're doing because he was getting recruited heavily. Like I said, my dream was to be a Division I player. I watched what he did, and I just copied it, stole like an artist, man, and you know, I just became essentially him, walking some of his footsteps, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that I got to play with him to kind of lead that way, see what I was going to be up against, you know.
Mm-hmm. So then, what? 3 years later, 1997.
Oh, it's such a long time ago right now when you say that, dude. I feel old, bro. I am old. We're getting older, you know?
I mean, it's crazy. 30 years ago. We're coming up on
Come on, bro. What's happening, man? What's happening?
fourth overall pick, though, dude.
Oops, yeah. Well,
Grilled cheese, like holy shit, man! Did you think there was a chance to go 1-1?
I didn't think that was going to be the first pick. You know, it was weird too because when the Giants called, I was like, man, I never saw the scouts. They never came up to me. They were very like quiet about it. I have to say, like as opposed to some of the other teams that were there. And I got a great friend, bunch of guys on the team, but one in particular, my shortstop, Mike Condon. He played in the Angels organization, and he, to this day, still credits. He's like, the only reason I got drafted, bro, is because all the radar guns was giving everybody, you know, uh, cancer because they're out there to see you. But he's like, we benefited because you brought everybody here. He's like, I got drafted because you were getting touted. And I said, dude, you were a pretty good shortstop. Don't kid yourself. But yeah, he played Double A until he blew out his shoulder and had some injuries. But like I said, it just was being around that time, going back to that time, taking me. It was you know, I kept looking at all the wall of all the greats that went to Seton Hall, which was one of the top schools at the time in the Big East and the Northeast. And so, like I said, you know, I had New York City right there. I had my family is from Long Island. My dad was born in Brooklyn, New York, and you know, I skipped Monday night classes to go to Yankee games. It worked out great. You know, I knew where I wanted to be. I tell people I majored in baseball. I had a minor in marketing.
Yep.
and just glad it worked out. I tried to choose the cooler job, but I thought now, like I said, it's we talked a little bit earlier today. We won't get into that until you want to, but the transition for everybody. Sorry, my light went out here, bro. I don't know this thing. Guess I got to go on Amazon buy another freaking light. But uh, yeah, just the transitions of going from high school to college, or even from kids that are trying to do this thing, man, and trying to be what we got the blessing of borrowing to be a major league player. Going from 11 and 12-year-olds to jump into the big boy distances, regulation distances of 90 feet and 60 foot six on the mound. You see that fall off. You see that 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds like, nah, I'm done with this. Baseball is a grind, and even when you ask any NFL player, hockey player, basketball player, like, how the fuck do you guys play 162? I go, yeah, but don't discount the 35 or 40 spring training games and hopefully the 11 that it takes to win a World Series ring. We play a lot of baseball. And then, oh, yeah, there's winter ball too if you want to go there and get some more reps, because if baseball is a sickness, you do have to be a little bit twisted and different and a freak show. And I know you were one, man. I mean,
I loved it, dude. I really did. And I think more than anything, Jason, I love the fucking grind. I love the work. The games are cool.
yeah,
Those were just the reward, the biscuit for
right.
all the work that I had put in. But if you don't love the work, it's never going to happen for you, because that's where the sausage is made, man.
Yep.
The long, dark fucking hours grinding away in a cage, the off seasons, right? Like the time spent in the weight room. We went through the shit, like having to keep up with all the fucking steroid guys too, right? So like that was even more so.
That was a
Um,
real thing, man, and
yeah,
you know,
it was hard. It was hard. It's fucking really hard, but it's supposed to be hard.
supposed to be
And it's not easy, and it's never going to be easy, and it's not going to be easy for our kids either if
no,
they want to pursue this.
nothing is and nothing should be. I just saw Pearl Jam. They were here and finished up their tour in Pittsburgh here, and great great band of friends and acquaintances with the band, and got to hang out with Eddie. And I look at like let's just switch a genre, right? Rock and roll. These people are talented musicians, and the only way that they do that is because they play that shit all the time. And that's the only way you get good at anything, right? Is doing it repeatedly over and over. I have a friend of mine who's a good magician, and I said, "Man, how did you?" The kids are like, "How do you do that? How do you do that?" He goes, "A lot of time alone in the basement." I go, "There was a lot of times I can only tell you." Mookie Betts even said it. So I go, keeping it current. Like, forget me. I'm just an old guy, or I'm just my son's dad. I said, look, Mookie Betts leaves mirrors. I saw an interview. He's leaving mirrors all around his house with bats there, and he just gets up there, and you got to feel it. Like, you got to be obsessed with it. Like, it's not being narcissistic or check myself out. It's am I right? It's a feeling that you have to repeat. It's the pregame stuff that you sit there and go, how do you get an A on a test? You study. You can't study for a test while you're taking it. Really, it's like you're just cramming and hoping for the best. And same with baseball. You can't try to catch up and your game preparation, in-game, pre-game preparation is ready for the in-game, and you hope that the post-game you're cracking a couple beers going like, that was awesome. I can't wait to do that again. Like you said, the grind is what matters, and having fun doing it, you got to have fun doing it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you do. And look, there's going to be times when it's not fun. There's going to be times when it hurts. There's going to be times when it's miserable. So, dude, you get to the big leagues with the Marlins. You get traded
Yeah.
from the Giants to the Marlins. Who was the trade for?
Livan Hernandez, the World Series MVP. I was like, all right, but I was devastated and happy at the same time because I was like, wait, I thought some of the veterans were playing a prank on me, for one, and my roommate's like, no way, you got traded. Like we saw it after I got the phone call, and we were some Red Lion in frickin' was it Wichita, Kansas? Yeah, I was in Wichita. No, sorry, Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
Right, the worst trip was Des Moines, Iowa, and Omaha. It was like there was nothing to do. It was just kind of like what do we do here? What are we doing here? Where's this? Where's New York City? Where's the? That's what I was used to, right? I went from college. I was in New York City, and I'm like, I'm in the Midwest. I'm like, what do we do out here? But yeah, just get reaching up and going like in your hotel. Sorry, my light sucks.
You're good, man.
Um, just going like I got traded, and I didn't know what my heart sank to be like. So what does this mean? Like the business of baseball, the business part, which I wasn't really prepared for. It's you know, I had my heart sold on being opening that new ballpark in 2000 when it opened up, and you know, wearing that jersey, making my debut with Barry Bonds in the outfield, and some of the guys that I was hoping to play with, um, and guys that you come up with, right? Even in the minor leagues, it's like kind of like college. You feel like you formed
Yeah.
all these bonds and relationships, and then it's like, nope, sorry. So the business of baseball hit me, and then when I got traded, I'm looking over at the Marlins, going like, Dave Dombrowski's compiling all these power arms of 95 and up. I'm just another guy throwing 95. It was Josh Beckett, AJ Burnett, Brad Penny, Braden Looper, Al
Yep.
Seika. I mean, I could go on and on about arms. I'm like, shit, this sucks, dude. I'm in a sea of awesomeness, and I got to work my way because people don't realize, like, yes, you're playing with these guys, but you're also competing for the vying for the job. You're an outfielder, right? You're in AAA going, all right, there's six outfielders here, five or six outfielders, and I got to be better than them. I am friends with these guys. I like these guys. I'm drinking with these guys, but I got to beat these guys out too. You're always competing for that job and to go, I'm the man, I'm the alpha, I'm the best. That's the grind. I got to do more reps because if this guy's more talented than me or he's got more money than me, the business side, there's so many variables and factors that go. And I got to sleep at night going like, I'm in the middle of East Bumblefuck and I got to get to the big leagues. And I got to, you know, I'd rather be eating filet mignons and cheeseburgers, taking that 6 a.m. flight in the PCL. That was a place I hated pitching. The balls flew, and I think some of them are still in orbit, by the way.
I think we're seeing that now with Sacramento's ballpark, and that is actually one of the more pitcher-friendly ballparks in the PCL. People don't even fucking realize that.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What's happening with the faces, bro? What happened there?
Oh, those are just emojis floating through. So yeah, just to give you a heads up, if you hit the chat, but we have all kinds of shit going on in the chat. We got Anthony, we got Austin. Austin saying kids are bigger, faster, and stronger now, but lack the grit that the older generations had. I think that's a really good point. I'm not sure how much they've had to fight for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, here's something that I will steal something. I'm friends with Lindsay Bear. You know Lindsay, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I do. Tell her I said hello.
Yeah, so I have conversations because of Yogi and just the friendship that we've developed over time. And I love hearing her speak about her granddad. Yogi is a legend. And he said when he was alive, even before he passed, he was like, you know, they're changing all these rules of the game. It's different. The brand of baseball continually evolving and changing, and we think it's getting better or worse. And trust me, we like the game that when we got to borrow it because it was comfortable. It's comfortable. Anybody that has changed, it's like I don't know what to say. I mean, people go, "Do you like throwing with weighted balls?" Or do you, I've never used them, so how am I supposed to say if it works for you and it feels good and you're seeing results? I can't argue with it. Do I want to do it? I didn't want to pick up a weighted ball. If I picked up a waterlogged ball, I feel like I'm going to blow out my arm. Why would I want to do that? But again, somebody thinks that that's a great idea and there's a science behind it. And if you can make it work for you, great. I can't argue about success. But to the point of your grind of saying there's a grit back then, yeah, I think there was a little bit more of that. I think players were meaner, tougher in the sense because, look, we didn't have the arm shields and the guys would throw at heads and shit, even managers could come out and argue and get thrown out. We don't have any of that anymore. There was an element to the game where what was the big brawl with the Orioles and the Yankees and Darryl Strawberry's beating the living tar. you know,
Oh
you
yeah.
you don't really see that. Uh, I don't know. There is some element in there, and I agree. But again, I don't want to sit there and go, "Well, we're better than," or
Yep.
like the old grandpa. We had this so hard. listen, we had it better than the game that left it better for us. And I love and respect this game to go. I hope that I made somebody's career easier in that, hey, man, just when you borrow this, hang on tight. And I hope we left it for a better state for you. I don't care if guys make more money, right? If even that to that degree, because it's like people left it better for us to make more money when that time we got to borrow it. So you know, things evolve. It's not my game anymore. I borrowed it and I loved it, and I love that. I want kids to keep the uniform on as long as possible, because God dang it, doesn't it hurt when it comes off? I mean, even when you say you've had enough, I cried when I was going through my locker or my upstairs sweatshirt collection from playoff baseball with the Pirates or the Angels or wherever I was at, and it just I one last swipe and I fell to my knees like I can't do that anymore. So I realized like Superman's not going to fly, right? Clark Kent's coming back to reality, and that I wasn't going to let baseball define me. It's a part of what happened to me, what helped molded me, and I'm so grateful. I would have signed my name in blood with all the pins and screws and Tommy John and Achilles and my two knees and oblique strains and everything. You've had probably more injuries than even me. You played every day, for crying out loud. But that's what you sign up for. And I think everybody, even these kids at 12 years old, they're like, my arm hurts, my arm hurts. We probably because we're playing too many games in a weekend, one. Two, I don't think you're throwing and doing arm care and things that we have to introduce these kids to earlier, right? And
Wait, real quick, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
yeah,
One of the things I always say is, and it's not this independent thought that I've had. I've heard it before from Tom House and a lot of the other experts that actually really know something about throwing. We pitch too much and we don't throw enough.
there you
And
go.
when we do pitch, we throw as hard as we can.
Yeah,
So it's like something's got to give there. I can just tell you from my own personal experience, my arm used to get sore like everybody else's. And then when I went to the Dominican, I started playing long toss every single day. And
mm-hmm.
I would watch, it was Carlos Perez and Francisco Francisco Rodriguez would play a long toss. And they would go foul pole to foul pole.
Yeah,
And the stadium was fucking gigantic, dude. So I'd watch this, and I'm like, I'm mesmerized by it. And I was also mesmerized by the fact that you know as well as I know all these Dominicans throw the fuck out of the ball.
oh god,
So I started playing long toss every single day. My arm never hurt again for the rest of my career.
see that? Yeah, it's the same premise. I understand it. You know, when I had Tommy John, I thought I was doing a great shoulder program. I never had, knock on wood, I never had shoulder surgery. I had Tommy John, but the Tommy John, which you can come back better than shoulder surgery, all the rehab that I had to do for Tommy John taught me a better program and regimen that I had to carry on, and I did carry on, so that my arm never hurt. Right? It was sore, it was tired, and you have to kind of pick your battles on. I remember talking to Gavin Floyd. He was a starter, went to the bullpen, and he wound up blowing out, unfortunately, because he couldn't prepare and felt mentally like I'm trying to get this regimen of being in the bullpen after being a starter, and that's a whole different animal, right? And I narrowed it down to getting ready so I could be available maybe the next 2 days, even though 2 out of 3 is usually what you get, to 11 pitches. So you have to kind of know what your limit is and what name that song and how many notes, right? Like the old game show. I used to challenge myself, how many throws can I know until I go, I'm ready? It's like maybe how many swings, forget even just throwing, how many swings till you're confident to have that feeling that I want to take into when I go do some more tee work in an hour or two, or in
Sure.
between at bats, right? Your first at bat's not the same feeling, or maybe you want it to be the same feeling because you're right in tune with yourself. It's the same thing with throwing. I tell the kids, I go, this is a feeling you got to repeat. You got to repeat your delivery. You can't, if you're talking about mechanics while you're playing. That's like I said, you're studying while you're taking a test. you lost, man. That's when the spiral, the hamster starts going, because you're like, yeah, and you got dad yelling, get your elbow fucking up and tip it down there, and Johnny, get down the side, get down the mound. I mean, the one I hate, the one I have to be honest, the thing I hate to say is good miss when you're throwing the ball back to the backstop. Good miss. Okay, what was the purpose of throwing it to the backstop? Right? Like, so it's just that, are we handing off the right instruction and leaving the game better? And I would hope that people would want some of our advice or ask questions. I think it's just maybe it's intimidation, or hell, in school, do people really say, I want to raise my hand because I really want to learn what this is, and I want to be the nerd in the school classroom, and everybody's like, oh my god, she's asking another question, we just want to get out of class. But this girl really wants to learn. It's not her fault. She's there to pursue something that she's doing. That's her reps, right? I got the teacher teaching me stuff. If I wanted to be around big leaguers as much as possible, and if there was somebody there, Jack Morris, when I was in Syracuse, the Blue Jays used to come in and play in Syracuse and scrimmage the AAA team on their way north to Toronto. And my dad always used to have a poll there. He's like, hey, man, get my son in there. I used to work the clubhouse of the Toronto Blue Jays, and Dave Winfield was my idol. So I got to hang out with him and all these guys, Roberto Alomar and all them. I wanted to be around it, but Jack Morris, I couldn't throw a curveball in high school. I threw a forkball, and here I got Jack Morris right here, and I'm throwing a bullpen with Jack Morris. Like, why would you not want to come running to that? And I go, here in Pittsburgh, you got black and gold everywhere, man. There's hockey, NHL guys, NFL guys retired right in this neighborhood over here. You got Neil Walker and myself and all these other big leaguers around town that have got some cleats, dirt in their cleats.
Where's Casey at? Casey's up by you, right?
Yeah, I just saw Case that Pearl Jam, dude. He's the reason why I met Vetter.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Right? So he's really good friends with him. And so, yeah, why would you not want to pick guys' brains? Like I said, I'm not trying to be alpha anymore. Like you said, I did it. I borrowed it. All these uniforms that I collected. Look at these. Fucking rode to wherever who wanted me. Played with the league, and you go, I just want to pass it to some kid out there. Whether he's playing on my son's team or my nephew's team, I just want to watch a good fight. We're sitting here going like, what's the point of watching Mike Tyson beat up on a lightweight? That's not a good fight. UFC. That's why there's weight classes, right? Because you want to watch a good fight. And so I want to teach a kid that I'm playing against how to hit 90 and watch a kid that could throw 90. I want to see that fight, right? But we're sitting here going like, well, it's better to play an 8 o'clock game and 10-run rule a team. Like, okay, well, you're getting the trophy. That's great. You got the best team here, but you're cutting ABs and innings pitched.
No.
So why are we doing that? And then, oh, by the way, the game's only an hour and a half. What are we getting out of that?
Dude, Grilli, let me tell you something. Honestly, that's the thing that's attracted us to the perfect game, top end shit. Because we go try to play a local tournament in Northern California or something else. It's like it's not happening. I mean, we'll go down to Huntington Beach and certainly we'll be challenged. But the first game we played at the Beast of the East with top 10 teams in the country, had to earn your way there to get the invite. 5-4. Second game we played, that was against the number 5 team in the country, Lone Star National. And then the second game we played was against the number 1 team in the country, the Banditos. They had not lost a game in their age group in 4 fucking years. We had them 2-0. They came back on top of us, put 4 up. And then we load the bases up again. We don't score. It ends up being a 9-4 game. We lose. No big deal. Was grateful for the experience. Was hoping to be able to see them again. We then played the number 2 team in the country, Furia National, and 3-2. This game was one of the cleanest fucking baseball games I've ever seen. We didn't walk one gosh damn hitter. Not one. Think about that. 13U. Dude, 13U, the walks go back up. You know that, right? Because all of a sudden 60 feet.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different. So we didn't walk one fucking guy. and end up pulling it out 3-2. I mean, these are scores. This is why
Right. That's
this is
baseball.
why I pay the big dollars to be able to travel across the country to do all the bullshit and
Yep.
everything else. I mean, it sure as fuck cost me a lot of money, but that's that's the reason, at least from my perspective, that I'm into this, and I'm into it for the boys because they get that opportunity to be able to play, this top end competition.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. If you're trophy chasing and you got squads that are just so stacked, like I said, I think that's the hard part. I'm not saying don't go field the best team. I'm not saying it, but playing in tournaments, to like I said, classes. It's hard to define that, and like I said, people want to just go take the best kids of the area. Not everybody's good, right? That's why you sit there and you go, "What's this guy on the team for?" And we don't play. I mean, some of the craziest games now you'll never see it again. 17 innings, 19 innings. I was part of those games in the big leagues, and the grind of that, right? It was so intense, right? I'm sure you've played in some of these games where you're like, "Holy shit, man!" Or you're down. I don't know.
What was it? What was the longest game that you played in?
I think it was 19 innings against the Braves. I was with the Pirates, and it was a hot Atlanta night, and that was what Jerry Meals called. McHenry was sitting there, and I can't remember. I think it was Lugo. Yeah, it was Lugo slid the plate. And if you look at the call, I mean, he was 2 feet away from the base, but I think Jerry Mills was like, "I'm done. He's safe." Hurdle comes out, but yeah, dude. I mean, you don't see this stuff anymore. And to the point too of a long game or a game that you're getting your ass beat. If it's 10, you're down by 10 or 15 runs. You still got to finish it out, man. But we don't have the pitching, obviously, right? You go, if I got to play 3 games in a weekend, I got no pitching if I'm trying to get through this game. So I don't know, man. It's a different brand of baseball. It's a different thing, and I don't want to sound like I'm hating on it. It's just different, right? And we gotta. I'm trying to twist my head around it because people are like, "What do you think?" And I'm going like, "Well, I didn't do it that way, but it doesn't mean you have to do it the way I did it. I just did it what works for me." Guys probably play the guitar different. Guys, cut your grass different. You drive different than me. You like I don't know. It's whatever's comfortable. But then you go, where do you take those risks? Right? You talk about where's the risk. If you take enough risk, where the success happens, uh, you can win. You can take too much risk and be a detriment to yourself. So you got to find that confidence is really what I call baseball. And these kids go, where'd you get your confidence, man? How comfortable are you being uncomfortable? That's another thing, right? You got to sit there and go, where's the limit? You pushed yourself to the limit. I watched the damn, documentary you did of pushing limits of yourself. That's the stuff you go. That's where it's not so fit. This game becomes fun. Really, I think that's the thing. People think like, oh, well, I'm going to go pay for lessons. I'm going to go do this. Go play catch with your dad. Go throw the ball off the wall, even, right?
The wall's everything, bro. I learned how to play baseball on the fucking wall, and then I learned how to play pickleball on the fucking wall. And
I saw you doing that the other day, bro.
really, that's all I do. I'm obsessed with the wall because think about how many times I can go play pickleball for 3 hours, and I'm not going to get the touches that I'll get in like 30 minutes on a wall. I won't. It's just reps, dude. It's feeling it. And the irony is that I was in Florida all last week, didn't play at all. No pickleball. But I went and hit against a fucking wall all day. No, I'm sorry, I would say all day, but for like an hour a day. Came back today, lights out, bro. Boom, boom. I had the righty lefty going. I had twoies here, twoies here. That's everything. But look, you know how I learned how to play baseball? You got a tennis ball.
Yeah.
Whack. Yeah. And I would throw, basically as hard as I can with this tennis ball. And then I faced my neighbor who was 4 years older, and he would throw as hard as he could. And he was the best pitcher in Little League. And I was never in Little League at the same time he was. He had graduated Little League by the time I was a 9-year-old. Then he was 13. And I come into Little League, and fucking by the time I was 10, 11, I was one of the best, if not the best. Definitely the best at 12, right?
Yeah.
But that came from facing Tony Castleman up against the garage for, I don't know, dude. I was probably like 4 years old when I started doing this shit. And by the time I'm 9, I'm ready for the majors, balling out. And then, however many years after that, it's just repetition. So one of the things I did with my kid was, and especially because I don't, he was what, 7, 8 during COVID, and baseball shut down. We'd go right out here in my front yard in Lake Tahoe, and sometimes with snow on the ground, and I'd just grab a tennis ball, and it was TB cheddar cheese. And so here he was, like an 8U playing fucking 10U, but he gets into like a 10U game. He's like,
this is nothing.
No problem.
Right.
He's been facing 72 with a tennis ball since he was 6.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Disney made a movie, The Rookie, right? Real story.
Yeah, great movie. And a great story. I faced that motherfucker.
So there you go. So he threw to his kids, his team, throwing 90 plus miles an hour. They're at first they're like, we can't touch this. Holy shit. And then they wind up like, okay, your mindset changes. You get numb. You desensitize. I call it probably more of desensitization of being intimidated and fearful. You can't do shit. You lock up when you have that little bit of fear. And I tell my kids, I go, you can't play this game with a tight starfish, man. You can't.
No.
And you have to be ready, and that's where the confidence sets in. But if you face it, crank up the machine or get in there with your buddy, cranking it up, and I might get hit in the head, I might get hit in the arm, and yeah, it's gonna hurt for a second. But next time you're like, all right, get in there, man. Like I'm gonna tear the cover off this ball, or hey, man, I'm gonna throw this slider down and in. And he's got no shot. But you got to keep doing these things and talk yourself through it to say, I'm willing to take that risk, right, for the success. And then it's like dunking a basketball. The first time you go, I'm going to get up there. And then when you do it for the first time, you're like, now I should be able to do it every time.
Yep.
Right? I might hurt myself because the rim might stuff me and I might fall flat on my back, but I'm taking that risk.
So hey, dude, I have a bet. I dunked a basketball for the first time. I was in the 8th grade, like I think just going into my freshman year. And the guy I coach with, John Donati, I call him Johnny Donuts. He bet me that by PGI this year, so this is in the middle of June, late June.
You're flying.
That I could not dunk a basketball by PGI. Because I told him, I'm like, look, I don't jump. Like, I need to train for this. But if you let me fucking train for it, I think I could get it. So we've bet this gigantic steak dinner.
All right.
And whether or not, 49 years old, bro. I think same age as you, right?
Yeah, I'm 48. I'll be 49 this year.
Okay. 49 fucking years old. And I think I have a very good chance. I went up, had a nice, easy, nice grab of the rim the other day. So now it's just going to be a matter of being able to control the ball and get this, and I'll be good. But once again, it's like anything else in life. You got to train for it. And when Barry Bonds, I don't know if you saw this clip, but recently he was on, this, I think it's called All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes. A really good fucking show. But Bonds was talking, they were asking Bonds, they said, hey, do you think you could still, hit today? And he goes, yeah. He goes, look, this is, and Barry always explained hitting to me the same way. He goes, this bat was my glove, and so long as I could catch it, he goes, he goes, no problem. And then he went into talking about, I'm 60 though. You got to give me a little bit of time to train back up for it. So I don't know, man. You pitched. What age were you when you retired?
I was 40.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, and it was funny because when you say you're done, I was in Texas for the second time. I was like, man, I wish I played with a dome. Again, the game got better after you leave it to somebody else. It gets better, whether you like it or not. They have a dome now, so this light's pittering out, but I don't know. But I went to Texas, and my last inning, we were down, and I threw, and I was like, I looked up at the gun, and I was like, I'm still throwing 95 at 40, and I was like, holy shit, But I sat down there. We lost the game. I looked over at Mike Napoli. I just shook my head and I was like, I want to leave that out there. I don't want to go to spring training. I don't want to try out for a team. I don't want to be a free agent waiting for collusion and all this other stuff that might be going on behind the scenes. Whether I'm going to have a job and fighting for a job at 40, I go, I could have probably squeaked out another couple years, maybe. Um, but my kids need me. Dad needs to come home. And the thing it was you brought up 1997. When a kid was born in 1997, I'm facing him, going like, that was the year I got drafted. It's definitely time to go. it's a kid's game, and let them have it. Let me move out of the way. I had enough. I had so much fun. I played with so many different guys. I was on 12 different organizations in 20 years. I was always packing a bag, but man, the laughs I had shared and memories I had, good times, bad times, I wouldn't trade it in the world, man. It was just it was what I wanted to be. It was no different than when I told my dad, Dad, I want to do this. I want to be that. I know the work that goes into it. I'm willing to sacrifice some of the other things in life that we maybe will get later. And right now, I feel like Forrest freaking Gump, dude. I'm like, everybody's like, you're into so many different things. I'm like, yeah, because I have all this time. I don't have to do. I can do what I want to do because I want to do a lot of things great instead of just one thing. I'm not one dimensional. Nor are you. Nor is anybody else on this planet. There's a lot of interests, and you find out what's good. I wish I had more time to play the guitar. I did the stab at that. I was getting good at it. But like you said, you put it down, you get into something else. Jack of all trades, master of none. Right? But the whole saying is it's better to be a master of some, meaning experience life. Get the bone marrow out of life. Try it. Even if you're a guy that's you made it to the big leagues, you get your cup of coffee. Man, would you rather go to a World Series or just make it to the big leagues? Yeah, I would have loved to have been a Hall of Famer. I would have loved to have been a World Series champion. But I got to the World Series, but I'd rather go and lose than never been there at all.
Of course.
Right? So what are you willing to experience and sacrifice? A lot. A lot. I think, I don't think it's hard to sit there and not say, "Hey, man, I envy what that guy did," or just say, "I'm grateful. I'm appreciative. I'm watching what he did." I used to ask rookies. I remember asking Jeremy Bonderman and Garrett Cole, guys that I was like, "Hey, man, how do you do this?" It's not beneath me to go ask somebody that's better at something. Maybe that's going to be a difference maker. It did with my slider. I went from a curveball to a slider in the bullpen, and I credit that to Jeremy Bonderman. And then I got a guy like Garrett Cole asking me how I strike out so many people. And here I'm like, dude, you've had 300 in a season, right? I said, you just didn't have the time experience. You didn't put together your song entirely yet. You didn't figure out yourself and what you wanted to be. You got here because your talent and your work ethic that got you here. You got to figure out the rest. Well, sure as hell, everybody does, whether they do it in time and they have that runway or they don't. Like you said, man, it's about the freaking repetitions, bro.
Mm-hmm. Did you think Garrett Cole was going to be as good as he is?
Yeah, he was a guy that just had a look in his eye. I just felt like he was inquisitive. Like I said, for him he was asking me questions uh, that I was like, this kid wants to learn. This kid's trying to soak it all in. He's still trying to get better, and he was a number one pick as well. They had, he was throwing $1 billion, just electric stuff. And I think the Pirates tried to make him pitch to contact as opposed to I got strikeout stuff, And I think that
Yeah. So talk about that for a second. And
yeah, go ahead.
it's really interesting because this is where I think pitching has changed. And this is why there's so much emphasis on velocity, is that back in the day, they urged pitching to contact to get out of there in 3 pitches or less and whatnot. And then
Addicts pitched, right? It was more
yeah.
to be like that guy, right? As opposed to I want to strike out the earth like Nolan Ryan.
Well, so analytics will tell us that if they're not putting the ball in play, there's zero chance of getting a fucking hit. Right. And from a pitching perspective, I can tell you where I am on a hitting perspective, and that's a whole other fucking segment and show. But from a pitching perspective, I'm not quite sure where I am Because if these dumb motherfuckers are willing to get up there and swing for the fences every fucking time,
Yeah.
I'm going to be living at the top of the zone trying to induce swing and misses.
Right.
Where are you on the pitching philosophy and approach in today's game right now?
Well, I have to say that your job isn't velocity, because if that's all it is, then I'm going to give you a 2 or 3 year window to say that's probably what your career may be, because you might blow out twice. It's what we're seeing, right? We're looking at data. We're focused on data. The truth of the fact of the matter of some of the articles I read and things I hear, um, and who I talk to, is, your job is velocity, and hitting wise is, launching. I'm trying to hit as many home runs as possible while hitting a buck 60 or whatever, right?
It's
I'd
terrible. It's
I'd
bad baseball, dude. It's not fun to watch.
No, it's not. It's, what I've used the word. It's very predictable. I would rather try to take, and I'm not trading my career to say I'd rather play here or there. I think I would have a better time trying to have a little bit less anxiety and intensity pitching now, as opposed to trying to face an Ichiro or a Mookie Betts or a Dustin Pedroia or a Rafael Furcal, the guys that you throw an inning to, right? Or you have that going on. Then you got a flyer on the bases, which you got to hold the runner. And there might be a bunt play because those are obsolete, right? But now you got a difference in the game where I use the analogy. I go, a guy like Ricky Henderson, God rest his soul, what a player, what a personality, sorely missed, right? Uh,
How many bases would Ricky Henderson steal today?
1,000%, because the pizza boxes that you get to slide into, you predict, well, I can only throw over twice. He knows
Yes.
the time to the plate, and he knows the catcher's pop time to second. How is he not going to win every time?
Every time. I swear to you, he'd steal 200 a year.
Right.
200 a year. And do it in fucking his sleep, too, man.
Easy. So that's why I said I'll go back to what Yogi says. Like, the game, has the players gotten better? Yeah, arguably you could make that argument, right? But I also go, keep in mind, you're making concessions to the players, because if we're going to compare the data and the stats of each era, and there's always different eras when you slice the pie, and it's the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Very Good, whatever you want to call it all, right? That makes up the story, even steroids, the story of the history of the game. The balls have changed, the bats have changed, the strike zone's this, and all these variables that come into it. It's all great for discussion, because if we're talking this passionately, just you and I, about it, right? And the fans say, "Oh, this is what's going on," and this guy versus this guy. I had a 16-year-old argument with my friend Mike Colangelo. Had basically like a signing in honor of all these kids making their commitments, and had a big banquet for all these kids.
Wait, hold on a second. What the fuck's Mike Colangelo doing these days?
Oh, you know Mike?
Dude, I played with Mike, bro.
So
I got sent down because of Mike Colangelo. He was a Rule 5 to Oakland, and Billy wanted to keep him. So I was the trash that they threw back to Sacramento. And I'm like, Billy, fuck you, man. I go, are you serious? He goes, hey, man, I got to keep Mike Colangelo. I can't let him go back to the Padres.
He's a trip, dude. He's got a great organization, man. The Stars in Virginia. He's just killing it, dude. Teaching these kids, getting these kids baseball. He's a baseball guy. Yep. And where was I go? Oh, just a guy had hard to get out. But why did I bring him up? I diverted here. Tell him.
We're having some kind of banquet.
Yeah, but I lost my train of thought. We were on a subject, and
sorry, dude. I haven't heard Colangelo's name for a while.
Yeah.
So the guy that coached the Party Animals when I was coaching the Bananas was teammates with Mike Colangelo in college. Adam Virant, we call him Viro. And so Viro was telling me some Colangelo story. So this is the second time his name's come up in a pretty recent period of time. Tell Colangelo I said what's up. Always enjoyed my conversations with him.
Oh, I will, man. Yeah, he was a tough out, and he doesn't let me forget it, because he wore me out. And I was like, man, I said, you faced Grilli before. You faced the version of me that didn't have you figured out yet. I had the same conversation with Paul Konerko. I used to face Paul Konerko when I was with the Tigers a million times over, being in the division with the White Sox. they didn't finish his name. It's like, but now batting Paul Konerko, and the ball's already going out. After I faced him, and then I found out, okay, what am I doing? How do I get this guy out? Make adjustments, right? And so he goes, hey, Grill. He goes, the frick, man. He's like, I haven't had a hit off you in whatever 5-6 at bats, and I go, it's my turn. Right? You figured me out. Now I'm gonna figure you out, and that's the battle, right? That's the thing that makes shit great about the game. There's guys you own. There's guys that own you. There's guys you get back at. There's guys you have good battles with, and I love having the conversation because people are like, hey, did you face so and so? Did you face Harper? Or did you face Ichiro getting inducted in the Hall of Fame? I'm like, yeah, I remember a couple at bats, but I go, it's fun to look really at that. There's a website you can look up. I don't know how many times did I ever face you? I don't even know, right? But it's fun to look and say what you did against guys because you don't remember all the time everything.
Yeah, your first year in Pittsburgh was 2011.
Yep.
I gotta believe I faced you somewhere.
The Diamondbacks?
Along the way. I mean, 2008, you were with Colorado.
Let me see. Yeah, that's true. It could have been then too.
So it had to have been then at some point. I was hurt that year though. I was coming off a couple monster years, signed a contract, and then got hurt. So
I found the website for all the listeners at home. Eric Byrnes against all pitchers. Let's see. See where I fit. I had to have. Choices Eric Byrnes. Here we go.
Look at my numbers against Greg Maddux.
Oh, there we go. We're gonna pull.
I always pull out. I'm like, this is why baseball's so fucked up, man.
Here we go, dude. We had 2004. Where were you in 2004?
With the A's.
Yeah. So you had 2 at bats. You were 1 for 2 in 2004 off me with a ribby, guy. Sorry about that.
Okay. Here we go. I mean, that's.
And I fucking drilled you, probably.
What the fuck, man?
Standing off that dish, bro.
Hey, you know what kids don't do these days? And I'm very serious about this. And I was trying to teach the Let Them Play boys how to do it the other day when we were in the cage and I was hitting pickleballs at them at like 75 miles per hour. They don't wear pitches anymore. Like, I got 2 strikes on me, dude. You're coming inside.
Yeah.
Give me that motherfucker.
You got all the gear. You might as well.
Well, I didn't even have the gear. I was just willing to wear it.
Easier to get hit. Wouldn't you love to have all that gear?
Every time I got hit, honestly, I would say 99% of the time I got hit because there was that 1% when I knew they were throwing at me. It was like, fuck you and yeah, whatever. I would gladly take it with a smile on my face. And all I could think about, especially playing for the Oakland A's and whatnot, on base percentage. Fuck you. That's too easy.
Well, I want to conclude this because I want to have bragging rights if I can.
Please.
So you were 1 for 6 in 7 plate appearances with a ribby. And let's see, did you steal any bases off me? It just says I dosed you 1 time. 2004, faced you, and then 2008 and 2009. I don't know where. It doesn't tell you the teams we were on.
2009, you were with Colorado too, so it had to have been there.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah, and then I was just coming back, and then 2008 was obviously Colorado.
But I tell you, again, and this is not just because we're here and becoming fraternity brothers again, but watching you play. I know we talked to Cameron Babin earlier today.
That was cool, man.
Right? And
that's why I jumped on the call, and I got, you guys sent the text out, and I know there was text flying, and I'm in Florida for the first meeting, and then there's second meeting. There's the third meeting of what we have going on, and we're going to talk about this. We can talk about it right now, but basically there was a call for let's call it the gold club, the gold card members, 8 years of service time or more. We've all gotten together recently. You're spearheading this thing. Bro, I don't have my wallet on me, but I keep it on me at all times.
This is the one I don't keep in my wallet. This is the one because I thought I lost it, but it's the mint one. It's like, since I said we're collecting baseball cards, I'm like, I guess I got to have 2 of these, one to use and one to just keep as a memento, right? Because they present it nice to us. But yeah, man, just an appreciation, accomplishment that very few get to get. We talk about getting your pension, getting your long tenure, playing the game as long as you can. Keeping the uniform on as long as you can, whether you're a big leaguer in college, high school, Gotta love the game, and you get this gold card as a memento token of your hard work to be proud of. We got to have 8 years in, and when you get those days of click, man. So
So you recently went viral
yeah,
with the gold card going to a Pirates game to watch Paul Skeens pitch.
yeah. I've never gone viral before, so it was a weird experience because I just long and short of it was I'm doing some business ventures. We get into it, like I said, the Forrest Gumpistry of life after baseball, and a couple things went sideways. Different people that weren't good teammates. I'll leave it at that. Right in business, and so it was kind of like a fu to like, hey, this is what I did, and maybe I don't need you, or maybe I want to hang with the guys that I know I can trust because they have these too. They know the meaning of this and all these things that I'm trying to been putting together for years. It takes years, just like the minor leagues. You go through the process to get to the top. Even in business and life, things that you want to do. I'm doing the same grind, and that's the mentality that we are. Our drive, right? You want to be a great pickleball player. You're doing what it takes to be a great pickleball player. I'm just trying to do all these things to what it takes to be a good business person and learn from all these people that know way more than me, whether they're an accountant or a CEO or whatever, right? So luckily I have this amazing pass that we get and just trying to bring the fraternity brothers because dude, we miss just hanging with each other, right? And
Yeah.
when you take off the uniform, the intensity goes away, and you go, man, I wish I got to spend more time. I said it to AJ Burnett when we played in Pittsburgh together, and I saw him when Kutch made his debut back, returned to the Pirates. And I said, you know what, man? I said, we didn't really hang out a lot and we may have had our differences. And I was in the bullpen. You were a starter. I said, but I really wish I got to know you better as a person. We hung out sometimes, karaoke and doing what the shenanigans of a team. But, just like there's not enough time, right? You have your boys and you spend time because of whatever, it's the little cliques and segments of a team. Uh, but it was just funny because it's like you even grow older as a person, and you go, you got to be so alpha in that clubhouse, and all right, man, what are we doing, right? To go, man, I wish I just got to hang out with you a little fucking more. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
go get us another steak, and I feel like that's the soup. I'm just trying to use this to do that, and then how do we incorporate the fans? The fans are what makes playing in front of them fun and worthy and make us feel like it gives us these superpowers because we get adrenaline from that. And now I'm just trying to use like, oh, I went viral. Okay, cool. Well, how do we jam together and bring the people like, hey, we're doing some cool shit, and do you want to come along? Because we have this pass, and I get to bring somebody. So maybe we just hang out and figure it out, and do the Willy Wonka thing and get the gold ticket to do some cool stuff, man.
Well, bro, like I'll tell you this, uh, it's there's a reason. I don't know how to put this. Like I'll get approached from a lot of different angles and a lot of different adventures that will be this and this and this and this and whatever. And when we talked the other day, I was spending 30 minutes on the phone. It was when I was flying out to Florida and listen to what you guys had brewing. I think more than anything, what actually attracted me to it was the fraternity. And if there's one thing I miss about baseball, it's not playing. I actually like pickleball as much as I like fucking baseball.
Yeah.
So it's not even that. And I love coaching baseball too. So I get my rush to the baseball games that way. The thing I really miss is hanging out with some relatively like-minded, competitive, shit-talking motherfuckers that bring joy to my life. So when I got done with my pickleball game today at 3:30, and I know you guys had the call set for 3, immediately, as soon as I got my van, I said, I'm hopping on. Boom. And Cameron Maben was on there, and most of the guys I think had left or had gone to that point. I knew I'd be hitting it at the tail end. But to hear him and his passion, and he's doing a lot of the same shit I am, at least with youth baseball and
Doing amazing.
coaching and everything. I mean, it was cool.
It's giving back, right? And like I said, the admiration for each other and the respect, the adoration. I think when you draw back, and even though you wanted, like, I wanted to eat you for breakfast when I had to face you because I wasn't going to go. Here you go, Byrnes. You here to hit this
Yeah.
fucking ball over the moon, right? Yeah, I'm trying to eat you for breakfast because I want the flame onion, not the cheeseburger, right? I'm playing for the best.
I actually, you know what, dude? I remember facing you now. I remember like a couple like tough late game fucking at bats against you that were a pain in the ass. I do in Colorado, like one of them being.
Well, I got booed out of Detroit, so I felt free, and I was like, I need to pitch in Denver. I'd be like, oh, that's so tough. I'm like, no, pitching in Detroit's really fucking hard. When the fans, when you're getting booed by your hometown fans, those are tough fans. They are passionate fans, and it was good to be on the good side. I've been on both sides of the coin, and I go, yeah, I sucked at home. I think I had a 6 or 7 ERA at home, and as a middle reliever, that's a thankless role, right?
Yeah.
It's because you're like, I didn't create this situation, but hey, Jimmy Leland wants me to put this guy on 4 pitches. I give up a hit, and I come out, and a guy hits a tater. There's 2 runs, and without getting an out, that hurts in ERA. So when fans are looking like, this guy sucks at home, I had like a 6 or 7 ERA at home, started getting the hamsters going. I'm like, Jimmy, just pitch me on the road. I had like sub-1 on the road. But I wound up getting traded to Denver, and I loved it. I laughed so hard. That was probably the most laughing. Glendon Rush. Do you know who Glendon?
Yeah, I know Glendon Rush, yeah.
He's supposed to be on the call, but he's coaching up in Montana with the Pioneer League or something up there.
Cool.
Because, yeah. So just the guys, Jason Marquis, laughter.
Love Marquis.
Yeah, literally had to dig my nails to inflict pain to get locked in when they called, hey, get Grilli home. I was literally squeezing my lips, trying to dig my nails into my face to stop laughing and get serious about what the hell I had to do. Pitching in Denver, which is, no small order either.
No.
Yeah, so I loved pitching there. Wish I was there a little bit longer, to be honest with you. It was a fun group of guys, man.
What was it like playing for Jim Leland?
Well, I'll tell it in the eyes of Sean Casey, right? Who's another Pittsburgh native. So Jimmy in here, Pittsburgh native. When he got traded to Detroit, I was so excited to play with Sean Casey because I heard what a great guy he was. The mayor, he has a lot of stories. First baseman, chew your ear off. I'm sure he chewed yours off a couple times, right?
He was just up at the house here. He says one of his best friends from college.
No shit.
Lives fucking 2 houses down. I'm literally looking at his house right now, Healy.
Love it.
And so Casey came to stay at Healy's house. Healy wasn't even home.
Wow.
Came to stay at Healy's house, and we spent like 3-4 days together. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah. So I'll tell this the answer to that question with Leland. Leland was awesome to play for. I mean, respective manager, much success, much respect. And Sean Casey, who likes everybody, was like, he goes, Jesus Christ. And I was the first one to greet him when he got traded. I said, hey, Case, Jason Grilli, nice to meet you, man. I'm so pumped you're here. Welcome to Detroit, bro. When we got home after a little bit of time, he was like, you know how he talks like a WWF wrestler.
Yeah.
Grill, what the hell, man? He's like, does Leland hate me? I go, no, he doesn't hate you. He goes, what the hell, bro? I'm like, I'm scared of Leland a little bit. And I go, welcome to Detroit, bro. Again, welcome to Detroit. Yeah, Jimmy just, he commanded, but he would also have us crying. He would tell a story. He had dudes crying. We have lumps in our throats. He's a very emotional guy. I mean, look at his Hall of Fame speech. Probably the best one I think I've ever seen was Jimmy Leland's Hall of Fame speech, honestly. So I thanked him here for just the opportunity to pitch and, be on that World Series team in 2006. I will tell this now that FanDuel's in play. I know that whoever plays better wins, right? I know the better team. Honestly, I felt we were a better team than the Cardinals that year, but we had 8 days off. And if you're a betting man, which now, with all these beautiful, beautiful betting things, and there's no advertisement here for me or you, I don't know. If you have 8 days off at the end of the year, you go cold quick, man.
Real quick.
That's
it It happened to the Rockies in 2007. They were
Yes.
the hottest team on the planet, and we had to face them. We played them in the National League Championship Series, and they swept us, and then had 8 days off before they had to play Boston. Then they got swept by Boston.
Yep. So I kind of tell people, I go, hey man, if that's going to happen, pay attention. I said that there was, I think it was 2 years ago. There was a couple of teams that had too much time off, and I said I was just go. I'm going to bet, according to what I'm saying now, put a couple $100 on this. They've had too much time off, and sure enough, 3 of the division winners instead of the wild card teams, wound up winning because they had too much time off. It hurts. It's almost like, what's the incentive to win a division if you have too much time off? When you're like baseball, that's why you got to keep the momentum going, man. It's a momentum sport. It's a confidence sport, and I don't know about you, but I know towards the end of the season, when your arm's ragging and your hamstrings kind of grabbing you or whatever, you're sitting there going like, man, my body feels like taffy right now, and I got to keep it moving, otherwise it turns into glue.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, it's a groove sport, especially from an offensive perspective, where you're taking at bats every single day. You're getting 3-4 at bats, and then all of a sudden you're not getting those at bats for 8 days, and you could try to simulate it all you want.
Yeah.
But in a batting cage or whatnot, but it's just not going to happen. Not when you're playing at that high of a level. So, I look back at, you mentioned the Cardinals, or what, basically what went on the year before with the Red Sox still playing, and then obviously the Rockies having that long layoff. A question for you, dude. So Walker Buehler tonight gets thrown out of the game after he throws a pitch that was well into the strike zone. The umpire misses it, and Walker had some words immediately. He's like, "What the fuck, dude? It's right down the middle." And eventually tells the umpire to go fuck himself and gets thrown out of the game. We have these boxes on TV, dude, that like they're right there. And it either is in the box or it's out of the box. From a pitcher's perspective, do you like or not like the automated strike zone? Because in my humble opinion, it's coming, and it's coming quick.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to sound like a pitcher, and all the position players are going to hate me, right? They go, "All you pitchers." I go, "Wait a minute." I go, "If we're going to make the bases bigger," I go, "You forgot one. First, you forgot one. If we're going to make all the bases bigger,
I agree.
and make home plate,
good point, man. Holy shit!
right? Why is home plate different than there? It's a base, so why is it smaller than all the other ones? I don't know. Question,
Whoa,
right?
dude. Well, I could advocate all day that you need to expand
Yeah.
at least an inch on the outside part of the plate. I think you could leave the inside, but you widen it, say, to the outside, right? I mean, just widen the plate in general. And that allows you guys to get the calls that you should get when you're dotting just off the plate.
Well, tell me this. Tell me this as a hitter, and now I'm giving away some of my secrets or thoughts. Late in the game, as a reliever, where would if I make a mistake inside, like if the game's on the line, I'm not going to beat you in because you're geared up for in. I said, if I'm going to get beat, I'm going to get beat away. And I remember one game, Manny Machado, I was facing the Orioles when I was at the Blue Jays, and we had a 3-run lead. And I made a good pitch. It was a good pitch. I looked on the video. I said, did I miss my spot? They're like, no, it was outer third, down and away. 8 out of 9 times, that's how you're going to be a big league. If you get it down and away, especially get beat late in the game, not that you don't adjust accordingly, but I'm just talking general rule. If I'm going to get beat, I'd rather get beat away instead of hanging the pitch down the middle or inside when I know a hitter's, you got Gary Sheffield's of the earth, Vladimir Guerrero's, all that. Like, what are they looking to do? You guys are looking middle in, unless I'm wrong, and late in the game if you're in a spot to win it, right? You're not looking like, I'm going to take this guy away more so than not.
It's even in big league hitters, like runners in scoring position, like you're juiced up. So the people who have success with runners in scoring position are actually the good breaking ball hitters.
There you go.
And the ones who are willing to sit on a breaking ball, because at that point, that's what the pitcher's going to try to do.
Right.
Very rarely are they going to try to jam you in underneath the hands. I think it's more the in under the hands, which I love. I mean, all great hitters pitch in under the hands, soft away, hard in, soft away. I mean, that's sort of the book. But you're right. Like when you get to that big league level and you have motherfuckers like a Machado who could easily pull the hands in and send it off the warehouse in San Diego now. It's just tough.
And you got to pitch and set it up, right? It's pitched to the L. You cover an eye level. It's like, what are you looking for? I don't know. I don't know if you see something from me or I'm giving away or you're going like he's falling into a pattern here, right? We're talking philosophy, strategy. What am I picking up? I've tipped my pitches and give up 4 home runs in an inning, right? That one hurt. But there's times when I was like, no, I'm on spot. I don't even care if you know what's coming. I'm on my game. But in general rules, like, what am I setting up? I was kind of a late, up and in, down and away with my slider. And then if are you covering both the slider and my 4-seamer up and down and away? That's hard to cover as a hitter, is it not?
Fuck yeah.
Right. So,
and even if I'm looking for it, it's just if you, for example, throw me a fastball early in the count, and I see the fastball time, whatever, and I'm like, okay, I know a breaking ball's coming. Well, if I haven't seen the breaking ball yet, there's an element of there could be some miss there. Right. The same thing with the fastball, where if you're trying to set up a fastball, and even if I know a fastball is coming, if you put it in the right location, I'm not going to fucking hit it, or at least hit it well.
Right. And even some of those cement mixers that screw you guys up, you're like, oh, man, I got away with one.
Oh, the backup. That's the best pitch in the game. The backup slider.
Yeah, you're just like, I got lucky and karma, please. Like
I don't think it's lucky. It's the nastiest pitch of the game. You guys don't try to do it, but it comes like this, it spins like this, and it moves fucking the other way.
Not enough rosin. They took away the seams and made these balls really hard, man.
Talk about throwing to the L. I've never heard that.
Yeah, so I always said, I go, okay, if a hitter's looking for a spot, I'll tell you a story because this is what made me learn to listen to others and talk the game, which I think is a lost element because of these freaking things. And everybody complains about them, but the truth of the matter is, you become a little bit introverted when nobody in the clubhouse is talking. But Gary Sheffield was talking to Curtis Granderson, Marcus Thames, and I can't remember who else. But they were right near my locker. And I kept inching my chair over. Like I was just like in my locker. And I kept going like this over to the locker where Gary's giving a clinic, right? Feared hitter, no pitcher wanted to face the guy licking it like a wiffle ball bat, right? Come on.
He's the scariest motherfucker. There's 2 guys in my entire career that I stood in left field, and I literally thought to myself, don't hit the ball to me. Number 1 was Barry Bonds, and number 2 was Gary Sheffield. That was it.
They're going to pin you.
Everyone else, I'm like, give me the fucking ball. Give me the fucking ball. I'm making the play. No. Bonds comes up. Sheffield came up. I'm like, I'm good.
But no, I was listening to how they're giving answers to the test. I was listening to what hitters are looking at their approach and all that. And I'm like, huh. And so I just stored that in my memory bank. And like I said, just because I was a pitcher didn't mean I didn't want to have conversations with hitters. I had 1 home run in the big leagues, but I just got lucky and ran into one. But I didn't know the grind of that. That wasn't my game. That wasn't where my talent was. And I like the percentages, right? I'd rather win 80%, 70, 80% of the time being on the mound because I know hitting's hard. But I just pitching to the L was how guys would approach it. Even Gary, the reason I bring up Gary was because he would say, dude, if I was fouling a ball off inside, like even way out, taking it upper tank in Yankee Stadium or whatever.
And he did it all the time. I have flashbacks of him fucking doing that.
He said he was setting the pitcher up. He had a thing going like, I'm setting him up. Because I always felt, even as a pitcher, when a hitter would foul one straight back into the catcher or the umpire, or when you hear it go into that glass behind home plate and the fans are like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's when you guys are really on it. That's an 1/8 of an inch from being off your face on the scoreboard, right? Yep. So that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, he's on my shit right now. I got to reprogram and realign whether the scouting report told me here, I'm seeing if I can pick up anything where he inched too close to the plate because he's saying, "Oh, the Grilli goes down and away," or he's trying to get me out here. And you just kind of try to read. It's a cat and mouse game that is the greatest boxing match in some of all sports, right? It's really just boxing. When you watch a pitcher and catcher, I'm throwing a punch. I feel like I'm supposed to be on offense. That's my mentality. I'm throwing a punch, and you got to try to fucking throw a punch to hit it, right? So it's just kind of this. So the L to me was like I always said, and I'm listening to Gary, and what is he looking for? I'm like, though he's talking, and I go, I'm interpreting as a pitcher, going, he's trying to set something up, meaning he's not looking for anything other than he's trying to cover my space, right? And he can't cover it all, and he's got to try. He's trying to set me up, so I'm trying to go. Okay, I'm just watching the swing. I used to start watching swings of where he was swinging over it. If I elevated, is he swinging under it? So I started going like I got really good at not thinking about mechanics or how I felt, or it was more of like this is like pitching became more fun. And I've heard Michael Jordan even say he goes in that documentary, which is the greatest freaking. I love watching that documentary about the Bulls. He said the older he got, he goes, I got so cerebral that was more fun, and I agree with him. I felt like the older I got more cerebral with less shit. Some days I was throwing 91, 92, 93, topping out at maybe, as opposed to 95, 96, 97, because I was like, okay, well, I got to pitch today. I got to make it look like that. And I look at the scoreboard going like, my catchers sometimes be like, they think you're throwing 100. And I'm like, I'm not. I feel like shit right now. So you had to become cerebral and really pay attention to little, things that you say. Is this guy inching up? Matt Kemp, I talked to him not too long ago. Another guy that's doing great stuff with amateur baseball teams. And I remember because I used to look down, and I was looking down at one thing I was resetting, but I was watching him. He was creeping towards the plate with his feet, and I'm like, oh, he thinks I'm going away. Well, I'm going to flip the script and go up and in, and I punched his ticket. So it's like when you think guys are paying attention or they're not paying attention, you got to feel that out, and it's just something that you go. It's a feel, right? There's
Yeah.
why musicians break out into jam sessions. The drummer's like, oh shit, he's going. All right, I got to keep this. It's feel, right? And how do you get that feel? You do enough reps. You kind of know thy teammate by hanging out with each other. You kind of go, you know. Sometimes it even happened with me, and I'll use Russ Martin, one of the greatest catchers I got to throw to. There were times I'm like,
Great dude.
please,
Great dude.
all right,
Mhm.
please call a changeup right here. And I'm like, oh my god, like thank you. I didn't have pitch comm then. It's just like by brainwaves or whatever. The universe is talking. We were on the same page. It just is a euphoric thing. You're like, something great's about to happen, and I'm just going to enjoy this feeling because I'm in that moment. I have the ball. I'm in control. Nothing can happen, and you just feel like, well, it's a blessing to be a ball player right this minute. And I mean, same on the opposite side of you going like, holy shit, I don't care what I'm going to throw. This guy's hitting one to the moon, and I'm going to watch it too because I don't have anything today. I just hope that maybe he hits it right at Eric Byrnes and catch this thing and get my confidence up because you sit there and I used to pee, poop, and puke before I went in. I was an adrenaline guy like you, right? And guys are like, are you scared? I'm like, no, my adrenaline's going. My nerves? Yeah, of course. If you're not nervous and you don't know how to use it, are you going to fight or are you going to roll into yourself and absolutely crumble?